Hello and welcome back. It's now just over a week after Leeds and I'm going to be going through the full race, do a full race recap, talk about what went well, what went bad, things to work on, how I was feeling throughout the whole race, and then also just recapping on things that I think might help other people that are doing their first Ironman. If you don't know, I got in Strava about 2 years ago doing a first race at Ironman 70.3 Nice. I had little to no training going to my first race in France. I went into it not really knowing how to swim, cycling for about an hour max, knowing nothing about bikes, nothing about nutrition. I had absolutely zero clue, and that's probably why the race went so wrong. Since then I got a coach which absolutely changed the game. I learned so much from my coach and was able to train smart, train consistently and work towards the next races in 70.3 Greece, 70.3 Perech, 70.3 Venice, where I got a PB of 4 hours and 28 minutes, going from 7 hours to a year later 4 hours 28. I was buzzing. First full distance in Challenger off last year, which went really well. I did it in 9 hours and 44 minutes, which I was very happy with. And then this year in July, I did IRONMAN Leeds, and we'll go through how that went now. Starting off with the last year of training. I work in the RAF and I moved to Cyprus when I was 18. Did a few years of drinking and enjoying life out there. And then when I started triathlon, I was obviously training for 2 years out in sunny Cyprus on a Mediterranean island, absolutely loving life. And then I got told I was going to the Middle East for 6 months, which was a huge stumbling block in this whole journey. I was about to take the leap and leave my job to go to content creation and triathlon and everything I love doing full time. And training was going really well. I had signed up to Leeds and then I was going to the Middle East. I didn't really have much control about where I'd be, how much I'd be working, what kit I'd have available to train, and my job took over my life. In the Middle East I was working a lot, trying to cram all the training in, working, editing for other people, brand deals I built up over the last 2 years, and at times it became too much. I'd have to take some time off training to recover, not really physically, but more mentally. And one thing I used throughout all of my training in the Middle East was my Coros Pace Pro and Coros heart rate strap. Because it was so hot out there, reaching temperatures of 40 degrees plus, I had to really monitor my heart rate on runs, especially as I would feel like I'm going easy, but my heart rate's 160 plus. And heart rate never lies. I use the Coros Pace Pro to track all my workouts and keep up to date with my progress each week, where I can see my average training hours over the last 6 months. Also looking at my training status to see if it matches up with how I actually feel and that I'm doing productive training, or if I'm doing too much and feeling a bit burnt out, then my Coros can agree with me and tell me. And then one thing I'd say I liked a lot about the heart rate strap is that it goes around your arm. It's really easy to put on, it's comfortable, you can barely even tell you're wearing it. And then I did a lot of training on the static bikes like the Peloton or the Turbo Trainer, and I could sync it up with the Peloton. I could see my heart rate data live in the sessions and make sure I'm in the right intensity zone for what I'm trying to get out of that session. And then finally I had my Coros Dura bike computer, which is also solar powered. I use this a lot in my training, mainly when I was riding outdoors, so I could see my power, I could navigate on any new routes that I was doing, and the solar comes in handy. So the 3 of these were an absolute staple throughout all of my training. But in terms of training for Leeds, it was a hard period. Like I say, I was on the treadmill for long runs for 2 hours at a time. I was on the turbo for up to 4.5 hours at a time, and mentally it was just so challenging, working long days and then having to then try and train after work and get the most out of myself, and then feeling like I can't do a lot of the training because I was just so shattered from everything else that was going on and the editing and stuff. So it did turn into a bit of a vicious cycle of not getting enough sleep, trying to cram all my training in, catching up on sessions, and it was just a tough time away. The days before the race, so coming up to this point, you've done all your training. There's not an awful lot extra you can actually do at this point, so I was just in the mindset that I was really excited to do the race. I was happy, whatever happened, I would be happy. I had my mates there, my family there, my job that I was leaving, I was out with the Middle East, like everything was just so good that I just wasn't nervous at all, and I just felt class going into the race, really excited for it. And then obviously I had a 2-week taper. If you don't know what that is, that's where you normally drop the overall load of your training as you're coming up to an Ironman. Throughout the whole training block, you're under a lot of controlled fatigue, and that's obviously on purpose, because when you're racing an Ironman, you're under a hell of a lot of fatigue, and your body and your mind needs to be able to cope with that and keep on pushing and just be able to work well under a decent amount of fatigue. So the taper is the time where you can drop the overall volume of your training, keep short spurts of intensity to keep you sharp, and then it allowed your body and your mind to fully recover for the race. So my taper went really well, nice and steady. I'd say tips for taper: don't push yourself, don't test yourself, drop your ego, and just use it as a time to steadily build into race day. And the only other things leading up into the race is really the carb load. So I eat an excess amount of carbs, and you can load your glycogen stores through eating more carbs in the days before the race. I did this on Friday and Saturday, and just simple things like pastries, cereal, any rice and honey, just loading on carbs basically, nothing different to what I'd done before. Foods that I know settle well with my stomach and work well with me, and then also having some electrolytes in my drinks and drinking plenty of fluids to make sure I'm hydrated, and essentially just setting yourself up well to go into race day feeling good. Well, now we're going to talk about the swim. This is the one discipline that I do not enjoy that much, and it was the one where 4 weeks before I hadn't been swimming that much and I wasn't that confident going into the swim, but I wasn't nervous at all. My main thought in my head was, I knew in Roth that I swam 1:05, which was a really good time in the canal, but I was working hard for that, and under quite, like, my heart rate was pretty high. I was just pushing for that. So I thought, in Leeds, it's a long day, I'm going to be out on course longer because it's a harder course than Roth. All I need to do is stay really calm, really relaxed, focus on swimming with good technique. And yeah, my head wasn't really there going into the water. Like, I wasn't really thinking too much. I think I was literally 30 seconds away from getting in the water, and I wasn't even that excited. I wasn't nervous. I didn't really feel anything. I feel like, because I've been at a lot of Ironman events recently, filming and watching other people race, I've kind of just got used to the start, which I guess is a good thing because I'm just controlled, relaxed, and it was a long day anyway, so it's not like I need to be super psyched up for the race. And I was happy to be there, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't feel a lot compared to what I had at other races. I got in the water, my goggles came off straight away, which was my own fault. Probably tighten the goggles more, or don't just dive into the water, it's not needed. And it was a really nice swim. It wasn't too bad in terms of the water quality, felt quite good. I felt all right in the swim. It was a 2-loop swim, so the first lap, the only problems I had was with the buoys. I didn't check the swim course properly before the swim. I would do that if I was you. So I swam out to the corner and then got to a buoy, and just because you're looking back and there's buoys everywhere, I was like, which buoy do I even go to? And swam off course quite a bit. But I came round the first loop in 33 minutes, or just over 33 minutes, which I was really happy with. I did check my watch. I was like, that's good. I'll be on for like a 1:06 to 1:10 swim if I carry on at this rate. The second loop was a lot more difficult because there was more people getting in on the first lap, so you were overtaking a lot of people. It was crowded, it was busy, every single turn you were getting drowned, dunked. Like, it was pretty rough, and a few times I had to fully stop at the buoys to make sure I'm actually heading to the right buoy, rather than potentially just carry on swimming and then get caught up in loads of people again, because people were not swimming the right way a lot of the time. Like, you can follow people's feet, but on that second loop there's people going zigzags into each other. It was carnage. And the main points for the swim and tips for the swim, I'd say, is focus on technique, focus on staying calm, especially for an Ironman. You're not too worried at my level about making up too much time. Like, I'm not the strongest swimmer, it's just about getting through that swim with using the least amount of energy possible and keeping yourself ready for the rest of the race. I did get mad cramps in my quads as well. Not sure what that was, probably because my body position's quite bad and I was tensing my legs to try and keep my hips up. But another thing, kit-wise, that helped me big time on the swim was my Zone 3 wetsuit. It is an absolute lifesaver. If you haven't worn a wetsuit before and you're not the strongest swimmer, the wetsuits have added buoyancy around the legs and the lower half of the body, and that allows your legs to, float in the water without you really doing too much, which means there's less drag when you're swimming, and in turn it can make you swim faster. But that's the main tip for the swim. Now heading into T1, I was coming out of the swim feeling pretty fresh, not too bad at all. And T1 was a 450 metre run, which was slightly uphill. Took it pretty steady, made sure to get my wetsuit down to my waist, goggles and hat stayed in my wetsuit arm. So T1, I don't really have much to say. I'd say don't sprint T1, don't try and make up too much time, especially on that run to the transition, because Again, you're going to be burning matches that you need to save throughout the race. The main thing on an Ironman for me is pacing yourself properly, being honest, not getting excited with the whole day too much and getting caught up in the race and the crowd and emotions. Race smart, don't race with your ego at all, or you will pay for it big time, especially on the run. So T1 was controlled, relaxed, nice and steady. I think I was like 5 minutes something through T1, which was pretty good considering it was a long transition. I was also using the triathlon setting on my Coros, which is really handy. So as soon as I got out the swim, I could lap it and it would go through to transition 1. And then as soon as I got out of transition 1 and onto the bike, I'd lap it again. So I could see my overall time. I could see my time for each separate distance. I could see all my paces, my speed, my heart rate, and this was all really important for me to pace the race properly and get through this race controlled and at an intensity I know I can hold to then be able to perform well on the marathon. We're now going onto the bike, and the bike, again, 2,700 meters of elevation on the bike. It was a very tasty course, to say the least. I was going into this, it was 3 loops, just knowing the course very well, having a good idea of where the ascents are, where the fast descents are, where I could use my energy the best, and where I could relax and make up time. And that really helps, having good course knowledge of IRONMAN Leeds, I would say. And then the main focus for me and what I think other people should be on the bike is fueling properly, getting your nutrition in. I always say little and often is the best way. It's like drip feeding your stomach rather than just forgetting and then every 30 minutes down in 45 grams of carbs. I aimed for 100 grams an hour on the bike of carbs, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, and 1 litre of water every hour on the bike. Went around the first loop nice and controlled, nice and steady. Every single big hill, especially Black Hill, I was sitting up fully, rolling my legs as slow as I could or as fast as I could in a high cadence uphill, but going as easy as I could. I wasn't pushing at all, I was literally going as easy as I could to carry on moving and getting up them hills. And in my head the whole time throughout the bike was that I want to run a strong marathon and I want to pace this properly and slightly undercook it if needed, and then be able to run a really good marathon rather than overcooking it a bit. It's my second Ironman, it's the hardest course I've ever done. If I overcook this bike, the marathon is going to be an absolute shit show. A big thing on the bike was seeing other people, talking to other people on course, and then seeing my mates as well. It gives you such a big boost. That was huge on the race. I absolutely loved it from the crowd, and we'll get onto it in the marathon, but it was amazing. I was checking my watch to make sure my heart rate wasn't going above 160, especially when I was on the flats and the easier sections. On the hills, I didn't really care about my heart rate. It was more about feel and, like I say, trying to go as steady and as controlled as possible. This was something I predetermined before the race with my coach, having, you know, heart rate boundaries and what feel I wanted to be like on the bike. And I just dialed that in really well, and I just knew that I was not forcing it. And around 150 heart rate, I believe I averaged. I'll put the stats up on screen. But it was a really comfortable bike. The only problem I had was going down one of the really fast hills where I somehow reached 50 miles per hour. A bottle came out from my front bottle mount, which then went under my back wheel, which could have been a huge problem, but thankfully I managed to stay upright. It didn't really knock me off too much, but that was a full bottle of nutrition. So then I had the idea in my head, do I stop at one of the special needs stations and pick up another bottle that I'd had with 90 grams and a litre of water, or do I just carry on, go with a little less nutrition into the run? And I decided to go with the second option. I didn't want to risk wasting 4 or 5 minutes if they found it hard to get my special needs bag. So I just carried on going, sipped all my nutrition as much as I could. I maybe had like 70 or 80 grams in the last hour instead of 100 grams, but then all worked out in the end and I felt really good with the nutrition. The things that I would say for the bike that helped me kit-wise and that you could get is the Easy Gains rear bottle mount. That was really useful. All my bottles stayed in on the back and I put elastic bands on them, which I should have done on the front as well. And then I'd say my Easy Disc as well, an Easy Disc wheel cover. You can get disc wheels normally, but the wheel cover is a lot cheaper. You can take it on and off, you just put it on your normal wheel, and I would say that's definitely worth getting, even on a course like this where it was really rolling. I still think I got a decent benefit from it. And then I had a wax chain as well, although it rained on one of the first laps, so I don't know if that was even useful in terms of kit on the bike, but that's it for the bike. Now feel like I'm almost running out of positions to film in, but we're getting towards the end. So we are coming off the bike. I was feeling really nice, really good. I took my feet out of my shoes before coming into transition, which I would recommend. It just saves you a bit of time. And then we rolled into transition 2. I was greeted by Lewis and Josh, as always. That was a massive, massive boost and helped me a lot seeing the lads all the time. Like, yeah, huge, huge boost. And we ran through transition, feeling really nice, feeling really good, back to my bike. Only little mishap we had was I asked Josh where I was in my age group, just because I fancied knowing. I thought, I'm doing pretty well here, where am I? It'd be nice to see how far I can run up in my age group. And I got told I was 49th, which really, really confused me. So I was running away. I was like, nah, Josh, come here, mate. Like, there's literally like 50 bikes in here. There was probably more. How am I 49 for my age group? I really did not understand that, but it wasn't the end of the world. And I got to see my mum, my dad, Oscar, Liam going through transition, which was great again. Going into the tent to get changed nice and quick. I feel like I'm pretty good with transitions. It's all about just staying calm, going through everything as smooth as possible, not rushing too much, not forgetting anything. In transition, I tape up my nutrition, so I literally just have to take my helmet off, change my race bib, put it on my back, pour everything out on the floor, helmet in the bag back up, put my shoes on, and then I'm running. Grab my nutrition, it's all taped up, and sort my nutrition out into where I want to put it in my tri-suit whilst I am running, which is a good way of doing it, I think. And I came out of transition in like 2 minutes 30, feeling really, really good, but aware that I was about to do a marathon, which had a hell of a lot of elevation and was brutal. So going into the marathon, the first bit of the marathon was all uphill. And in my head with my coach, we'd said I wanted to start off at around 5 minutes per kilometre. I didn't really care what speed I was at to start with. I was running to feel really, really steady uphill and just making sure I was kind of cruising, not forcing it. Didn't feel like I was working too hard. It's a very, very long day. And if you push out too hard to start with, you just end up crumbling. And I've seen a lot of people pass me on the first 2 laps that then I just ended up passing when they were walking on the 3rd and 4th lap. Again, pacing is so, so important on the marathon. So yeah, the first 2 laps I've seen the lads a few times and I felt really, really controlled, really comfortable. I was actually thinking at points, am I going too easy here? I was below 5 minutes per kilometre, but I was just feeling like I'm not even trying. I was just like a leisurely run. I was chatting to people. I was bumping into lads on the race, which was class. Like, again, quality to speak to lads. Lads were coming up to me and just asking me about the page or saying I like the content, and that was awesome. Took my mind off the pain of the race, and it was just really, really nice to see everyone out there. Running past Roundhay pub was unbelievable. So many shouts from everyone there, and it was, yeah, a real boost. Every lap I was just thinking, get to the pub, get to the pub. Once you're at the pub, all the pain disappears when everyone's shouting you and cheering you on. So that was the best part of the run course by far. There was also a lot of bits where it was quite, you know, steep on the incline, and after the first lap I kind of got used to that and knew when it was coming up, and knew I just kind of increased my cadence and leaned into the hills a bit and just took it steady, didn't try and push the pace up them. And then as I was going on to the 3rd lap, I was still feeling strong, so I started pushing it a bit, and I ended up doing a 4:30 kilometre, which was probably in hindsight a bit too much. I should have pushed it more gradually, tried to go to like 4:45, then 4:30 on the last lap, but for the last 2 laps I was just pushing. I was in a lot of pain by this point and really just ignoring all data, just going off feel and pushing as hard as I could really. And it was weird because it's such a long day and your body is just drained and tired under a lot of fatigue. It's not like an effort that's ridiculously hard. It's not burning your lungs and making you feel like you're gonna pass out. It's more an effort where it's just your body's hurting, your joints are hurting, you feel so heavy. Like I couldn't feel my legs at all for the last lap. It's so much in your head. Like I think if you're giving yourself positive self-talk and you know deep down that you've done the training and you can do it and you've got this, that it makes such a big difference. And I didn't walk once. I think as soon as if I'd have walked, I would have like, I don't know, I don't like to walk. I feel like I've given up a bit if I walk, which is not the same case for everyone. Some people do a run-walk strategy at aid stations. Whatever works for you, do it. And I'd say the marathon went amazing. I did it in 3:30, which is the same time as in Rough. Bearing in mind, Rough, I was on the bike for an hour less, and there was 250 metres less elevation in Rough. So I was very, very happy with the marathon time. And yeah, can't thank the people on course supporting enough. It made such a big difference, and tips for people doing the first Ironman, or even if you've done one and it didn't go too well, pace the marathon well, fuel the marathon well, little and often, gradually, water, cool yourself down, take in water, electrolytes, stay on top of all that stuff, and try and build into it. Start off nice and steady. Be honest with yourself what time you think you can actually get. Don't start off at like 4:30s. If you're planning on going 5 minutes per K, you'll just end up dying a very quick death, which a lot of people did. And respect the course, respect it for what it is all day and how hard it is. Enjoy it, take it in, stop. You've trained so much for a race like this, the least you can do is try and take it all in and enjoy it. And then the finish line, by this point I was honestly in a hell of a lot of pain, and I was running up to the finish line, and in my head before we'd planned with the lads, Ollie, my mate, was coming with a Yorkshire Rose flag. I was going to grab that off him, put it above my head. I wish I'd have stopped, rang the bell, took a bit more time, looked at Josh, spoke to Josh, walked down the red carpet, grabbed the flag, but I was just in tunnel vision. There was so many people shouting. I didn't see Oscar and Liam on my right, I didn't see Ollie with the flag on my left, I didn't see my parents, I didn't see anyone. I just was running down the red carpet and was just relieved to finish by the end. I was happy, but I wasn't like, I don't know, I don't really care too much currently about what times I'm getting or where I'm placing. It's not the main point of it for me. I think because I've got all the other stuff going on, the videography, meeting people at races, just being in that community, I'm just buzzing and happy to be there. So my time was great, I was really happy with it, but it didn't, yeah, I don't know, I wasn't that focused on it. Like, I was just happy, like I said, before I even started the race. I felt like I couldn't lose on the day, no matter what happened. And yeah, I was over the moon. And I think it is very exciting moving forwards now. A lot of things coming up. I'm going to London for the T100 this weekend, and then planning on going to France to race the T100 at the end of the month, and then Qatar T100 at the end of the year, and lots of opportunities to work with the Tri guys, other trips where I'm going abroad, filming and doing a wedding and things, which I'm going to document that whole journey and process. I've got some brands that are really exciting that I'm going to be working with, and everything is just really positive. I can't thank everyone enough for the support on the last YouTube video. It was awesome. I've watched that video back a lot of times. I've really enjoyed making it, and this one's a bit different. It's a bit probably more boring. Maybe not many people will watch or as many views, but hopefully people find it useful. I am going to do a video where I put all my tips from my Ironman races and everything I think you should do to smash your race into one video, so that'll be coming soon. And then there's the documentary, which is going over the last 2 years of my life, everything that's happened to get me to this point now, which is going to come out at the end of the month as well. So I am very busy with everything. And T100 France training is going to be shocking. I'm going back to Cyprus next Monday to do my last couple of weeks in work in the military, so I'll be back in uniform, and it's going to be a leave and do, water sports, sun, drinks, and then going straight into T100 France. So that is going to be interesting to say the least. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate the support from Coros. If you want a Coros Pace Pro, or the heart rate monitor, or the bike computer, which I used a lot in my training in Cyprus as well, links in the description down below. Hopefully your race went well if you did it in Leeds. If you're planning on doing Leeds or thinking about it next year, I recommend it a lot. It's an awesome course, but you have really got to be smart and respect it. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see the journey and what we do. Maybe we'll be pro in a few years. Maybe I'll be back in the RAF. Who knows? But I'm going to tell the story and document it, whatever happens.